Remember this form? Working with a broker. It is mandated by the Mississippi Real Estate Commission. We've already discussed it, but we said we were going to come back and discuss this disclosed dual agency. What is that? The state of Mississippi says that I can represent a buyer, says I can represent a seller, or I can represent both. That would be a disclosed dual agent. And why is it disclosed? Because both parties have to agree to it in writing. It has to be presented. Usually I present it to my sellers when I'm listing a home on that working with a broker. First initial discussion we have, I explain that I may have an open house. Somebody may come in and want to make an offer. They do not want to be a customer. They want representation. They want all 6 of my fiduciary duties. I have to explain that you will not get 6, you get 4. And I'll come back to you and I'll explain that you will not get 6 fiduciary duties, you'll get 4. I cannot be 100% loyal to both parties, and I cannot have full disclosure to either party. For instance, it says right here that disclosed dual agents has all the fiduciary duties to the seller and the buyer that a seller's agent or a buyer's agent has, except the duties of full disclosure and undivided loyalty. I may not disclose to the buyer that the seller can accept less. I may not disclose to the seller that the buyer will pay more. I cannot discuss the motivation of any party for selling, foreclosure, divorce, whatever. I cannot disclose that a seller or buyer will agree to financing terms other than those offered unless instructed in writing by the respective party. Those things have to be discussed before we can just say I'll represent both parties. So Mississippi law, it's that code 73-35-3. You can look it up. Section 73-35-3 of the Mississippi Code will allow dual representation. It is a thing. We all have to do it sometimes. We cannot have 6 fiduciary duties. We will only have 4. But we do have to maintain honesty and fair dealing with all parties. It's doable. I've done it. With this new NAR settlement, we're probably going to see more disclosed dual agencies because the buyers are now going to be responsible for that professional fee to their buyer agent if the sellers are not willing to cooperate on compensation. And that's another whole topic, and we'll talk about that later. But just know that if dual representation is something that you would like as a seller, you must agree to it before it happens. If dual representation is something you would like as a buyer, you must agree to it before we write the offer, and both parties have to sign off on it. Thank you. Tanya Cutts with the Cutts team, 662-312-7757, DeSoto County, Mississippi. I'm here to help anytime. Thanks.